Welcome to Alpha Omega Radio Composer Interviews, and today we have Storm Blooper.
Oh, dear.
All right. We came all the way to Philly to have a few words with you, because you and your crew always go to New York, so it's like might as well come here and show the same respect. And
I appreciate it.
All right, cool.
I love it.
One of the things I want to talk to you about is actually you're part of a compilation. Yeah, that's pretty freaking cool. Part of that Chip Winter.
That Chip Win, that Brandon Head.
Oh shit. What I want to know is like, was that an original song that you wrote specifically for that?
Yeah, so the Stellar Dendrite was a song I wrote specifically for the compilation, which is the Chip Winter one. So it had to sound all wintry and happy.
That's true.
Which is a little bit different for me, I guess. But I tried going in and doing it, but what happened was I had a cartridge that had a bad battery in it, but I didn't know this at the time, and so I started writing that song over like my Thanksgiving break.
Right.
And then my cart crashed.
I remember the chaos on Facebook. Everyone's like trying to help you get it back.
That was terrible. Yeah. So like that first initial crash happened, and then I got a new battery from ASM, and then I had SKGB, he soldered it in and everything was fine. And then I started writing again, and that's when I wrote the Stellar Dendrite.
Okay.
So there was actually a song before that.
Oh, wow. Was it close to it? Or
it was halfway through,
to do it?
And then, usually when I lose songs, I just get too mad, and I'm like, I'm not going to try to remake that song exactly again. So Stellar Dendrite was like completely different.
Okay.
And then I made that, and then that cart crashed again.
What?
But luckily I recorded it like the night before.
Oh, thank goodness.
So it was totally fine.
And it's in the album. That's
crazy.
It's
in the album.
See, I've seen you perform a lot of different songs, but one of the ones that stick out was you had a little announcement. You said this is called Ginger Quest 64 for all of the guys that love redheads or something.
Yeah, me.
Yeah. So it's like,
yeah, that song. It's interesting.
That was out of Pulse Wave. How did it get started? How did this song? What was the process
to be?
Come to be. Yeah.
So Ginger Quest 64. That was the very first song I ever decided to do like a 2LSDJ. Song like ever. Yeah.
Interesting.
So it started out with I really just had two channels filled on one Game Boy, and it was the first Pulse channel and then the Wave channel. And I was just like, I'm just gonna see what I can do, what I can make. And then it turned into something completely different because Brian Dobbins, Oxide, he was like, yeah, you should just do 2LSDJ, and he kept like saying, yeah, it's fun, you should try it. So I said, okay, well, I guess I will. This will be a song that I'll try.
Yeah. And
so it like sat, for weeks without me touching it, and then I went in 2LSDJ and came out. It's Ginger Quest. So yeah, it's interesting, and I think the only reason why I really named it Ginger Quest was because of I don't know if you can hear it all the time, but the Exterminate sample that I have in there with the Daleks from Doctor Who.
Oh,
and
okay.
There's a certain Ginger that was on Doctor Who.
All right, perfect.
Yeah, so.
That makes sense. Wow, I'm glad I asked.
Yeah, it's my never-ending quest for a redhead.
So one of the songs that sticks out a lot, and before we did this interview, I wrote it down, but I just found out there's a lot of history to this song. Someone stole all of the ice cream. I was like, I literally put it here. I'm like, it's one of your great songs.
Apparently.
But there's a big history because a lot of your roommates, they like to recover that song, right?
Yeah, they love it. It's great.
And the reason I brought it up is because it was featured on an episode of Continue. That's how much people love this song.
Yeah.
It's all over the place.
It's crazy.
How did you find out that it was on that show?
Okay, so that was interesting. I put it up on YouTube with like this little animation that I made for it, and my YouTube is attached to my old band name account,
Okay.
And so I usually don't get a lot of mail through there, and then I got an email saying like, oh, you have a comment on YouTube. I was like, okay, well, why is there a comment on someone stole that ice cream? It's probably just one of my roommates messing with me.
Right. Again.
And and it just said Ninja Dance Party, and I had no idea what that meant. And I was like, okay, it's a little weird. And then the next day I got another one, and then it said, because of Continue, I feel like the song's going to get a lot popular.
Right.
And I was like, oh, I guess it was on Continue. And so I went, and I hadn't like watched that week's episode, and I went back and I watched it. And I was like, oh, it is on there.
Wow.
Yeah, because like I used to be a TA for Nick Murphy, which is one of the guys on there, and I worked with him up at UART, so that was fun.
One of my favorite songs. It's Bulletproof.
It's a lot of those samples are from like there's a lot of the Donkey Kong Country samples that I have in there.
Oh really?
Yeah,
wow,
yeah,
like fighting game.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's the Funky Kong. It's in his song, so yeah, it's safe to assume that. And then I have the Star Wolf sample from Star Fox, where he says, "What the heck?"
Yeah.
So yeah, and that song's actually it's a cover of Bulletproof by LaRue, and I heard it's on the radio once. I was like, oh, this song kind of sounds good, and I never listened to the radio because I don't like the radio.
It's that one song that you heard.
Yeah,
like, I gotta cover it.
And I was like, the instrumentation sounds great. I need to do it, and so I went ahead and did it. Remixed it a little bit.
I actually didn't realize that until much later. I did it reverse. Like I heard your song, and then I was like, and then I heard the other song on the radio. I'm like, oh my god, somebody just freaking
they
stole
covered my song.
On Facebook, you used to go by a different name. You said a band. You used to have a band name. Tell us the story behind that.
So back when I first started doing music in FL Studio, so I know a lot of people don't like that. I used to run like VST plugins and whatnot, and just like program it that way, play it in on a MIDI keyboard. And I used to go by this name, Subwoofer Special, which is a terrible name. It's really dumb, but I thought of it, way back in high school when I just like first started getting into music. And then I started getting into like the actually making chiptune music, fake bit, and then once I finally made the move over to like LSDJ, that's when I decided, you know what, it needs to be a completely different name because I'm doing something different. I don't feel like it should be categorized as in the same music that Subwoofer Special was, and never will be again. Subwoofer Special's gone.
Right. So, I like the whole package that comes with that name, which is the cool logo and everything.
Yeah.
As you can see,
Storm Blooper.
I mean, the actual Storm Blooper logo, that's a combination of the Star Wars Stormtroopers and the Super Mario Brother character. Who came up with the artwork?
Oh, that was me.
That was you?
Yeah,
really?
It was me. Yeah.
Well, again, art students.
Yeah, art
students.
Yeah. So that was, I forget how I even came up with the name. I was really struggling for a name for like a really long time, and I had a lot of stupid ones. And then, I was like, oh, this would be funny if I did this, and it was Storm Blooper, and I let that sit for like a day. And I was like, okay, yeah, I should do it. And so.
You're one of the musicians that are using 2 Game Boys. When did this start? And I would assume that's very difficult to do. But you feel really, really comfortable with it.
I feel, insanely comfortable.
Wow.
It's really weird, because I remember before when I first started, I was like, I don't think I can really process using 2. Like, I can barely handle 1.
Barely, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy. And so, like I said before, Oxide was really like, yeah, you should do 2. You should do 2. And then, I listened to a lot of Trey Frey, so I was like, you know what? I'll try it. And so that the 8 Static anniversary show.
Right.
That's when I first did. That's when I did Ginger Quest. So that was the very first.
Yes.
To LCJ. And I'm never going back.
Oh man,
I don't think I can.
And to end, did you finally get the cart thing resolved? Are you gonna have any more carts that die on you and erase great
most
music?
Likely.
Probably yes.
Yeah, most likely. Yeah. It's just the thing that happens. carts.
Yeah.
He's
And do
kinda-
you back up regularly?
Well, the EMS carts that I have, yes, but then I have the two ASM retro carts, so they don't run through the USB, they run through the GB transfer, so I just bought one. I can't get it to work just yet. So one of the carts has been fine, it hasn't crashed, it has all the second stuff for like Ginger Quest and all like my 2LSDJ stuff. So if I don't back that up and it crashes, goodbye chiptune.
It's over.
Yeah, no.